What up, man? It's your big brother K-Rino. This is something that has flown under the radar intentionally, I might add. But the Oklahoma Supreme Court has ruled to dismiss a lawsuit by the three remaining survivors, well, two now, but remaining survivors of the Oklahoma, the Tulsa Massacre in Oklahoma, better known as Black Wall Street, back in 1921. Um, to bring everybody up to speed who may not know or may not care or may not have been privy to this information, the Black Wall Street Massacre was when we had a whole community of black people who had basically stepped out to do for self and had opened up a whole community of businesses and were establishing themselves and moving up uh, to be an independent people in the city of Oklahoma in the early 1920s. And a bunch of racist white people came in and massacred those black people, destroying, killing about 300 people, um, destroying over 1,000 homes, just ruining a legacy. Just to make a long story short, nobody was ever charged. There was no trial. There was none of that happened. They just got away with it clean. It's a product of the times magnified, because that still happens to this day. Let's not act like this is so different now, or much different now. But as of a couple of years ago, there were still three survivors from that massacre that were still alive. Um, One was a man by the name of Hughes Van Ellis, who passed away last year and in 2023. Uh, the other one was Viola Ford Fletcher, and the third was Leslie Benningfield Randall. I had to make sure I'm saying the names right. Um, Mrs. Randall is currently 109 years old, as she was a little girl when this happened, as was Viola Ford Fletcher, who is now 110 years old. So these are centenarians, and they are still alive, having seen that massacre with their own eyes and survived it. And now, in this fight to receive uh, reparations, compensation for what was done, it's been denied by the Oklahoma courts. And it should not be a surprise, because um, reparations in the macro has been on not on the table. It's been in a conversation that's been going on for decades among black people. It's been going on for the longest among black people, going all the way back to seeking reparations for slavery. So for this to be denied is, we don't want to call it a slap in the face. It's just a continuation of America's um, hypocrisy and America's willingness to show black people that we don't care what we did to y'all. We're never gonna pay. We're never gonna compensate you for what. Now they're gonna pay, but just not in the way we're thinking about. We're thinking about they're not gonna pay with money, and they won't, but they'll pay in another way. God's retribution will be uh, coming, and it's already coming. This was an act of domestic terrorism of the highest order, and now they were basically just waiting for all of those survivors to die. You know, one of them has already passed away. He was 102, but they are waiting for those women to die. And in 103 years since this massacre took place, they are still here. They just won't die. And I know that's something that is disturbing to the courts. So I guess they just finally decided, you know what, we're just not gonna do it. And then they created all these different loopholes and reasons why they didn't do it. Okay, well, you know, the cause is just, the conversation and the situation is justified, but um, it doesn't fall under this particular law, this particular umbrella that would allow us to, just a bunch of game, just a bunch of game. And this is all in the same country, although it's a different state. Same country that gave Brett Favre $1 million out of welfare money to build a volleyball arena for his daughter. And they stole welfare money from the poorest state in the nation. Now that's a different state, but it's America. So to easily just give that kind of money out for something that's worthless to one of their own, then to say, well, nah, these people who, um, according to what I read, these women, these black women who are well over 100 years old, still say they vividly remember the details of that massacre right now to this day, but they get nothing. So again, like I say every time I do a video like this, um, I don't make these videos for us to be surprised. I make these videos for us to be reminded, to be to be constantly reminded, because what the deal is, y'all haven't seen this on major news. This isn't something that's been all over the airwaves like a lot of the other garbage that's being shown. It was basically like a back burner story on the internet. So there's a campaign to even suppress this, because if it's widely known, then there may be more outrage, which I wouldn't say that it would affect the outcome, but it would bring awareness. It would also make people start to recognize more so that, hey, look, this is what we're dealing with. Because if we don't start to get a grasp of this the beast that we're dealing with, then we're gonna continuously fall victim to different scenarios, because our antennas not up. Our antennas not. We're not being sharp. We're not thinking on a level that needs to be thought on. This ruling was an 8-1 vote. Shout out to the one. Shout out to the one person who said, "All right, man, I'm with this. I'm with this." But the other 8 were like, "Nah, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that." And like I said, nobody was ever. There's never been even a trial to convict those people who did that back then, because in that time it was like everybody was on board with it, from the courts to the citizens. So um, people talking about America's gonna be on the wrong. You don't want to be on. You want to be on the right side. America's already on the wrong side of history, and they are just adding to that legacy of shame and ruin, because that's what America's fate is going to be. It's going to be shame and ruin. This country's already on the way out. So every little step, every little piece, like what we just witnessed with this case, it just throws another log on the flame. That's all it does. So don't be shocked. Don't be. I guess you want to be outraged, cool, but channel that outrage into spreading the information, and channel that outrage into ways that can drive us towards separation, towards separating from this sinking ship. Because that's all those black people were doing in Tulsa back in 1921. They were practicing separation. They lived in a time where black hatred was so overt, it was so out in the open, that it was like, psh, man, you know what? They don't want us in their stores. They don't want us using their restrooms. They don't want us doing this, doing that. So we will separate, create our own, and they still came in to destroy it, because that's what's in their heart. So that's a lesson. That's a lesson, but it'll never happen again, because the next separation, we won't be in a position of vulnerability to where they can come in and do anything like that. So keep this in mind. Y'all spread this story. Let everybody know that America hasn't changed. America's hypocrisy and racism is still at an all-time high. Nothing has changed, because for that to happen 103 years ago, and the people still decide, nah, we can't give y'all, ain't nothing we can do for you. It's just a reflection of the trickle down effects of that racist white supremacist mentality, and even their ancestors had that same mind. So shout out to Miss Viola Ford Fletcher at 110 and Miss Leslie Randall at 109, and rest in power to Hughes Van Ellis and all of our brothers and sisters who died in that massacre, man. Shout out to y'all, and trust me, it may not be reparations, but retribution is coming. All right, man, it's your big brother K-Rino. I'll catch y'all with another one. I don't know what I did to my computer. All right, man, peace.